Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. So I'm continuing my web API.NET basics series here, and today I am on, as always, go ahead and follow me on GitHub, visit my website, and if you have any questions, go ahead and send in your questions and stuff. Right then, so I'm on item number 7 here, and we are still getting ready before we start the actual coding. Just getting your tools ready, just showing you all the things I'll be using in the video, because suddenly I'm teaching you the specific topic and I do something and you should not be left in the dark, like what exactly is it doing. So what I'm doing is, before I start the actual coding, before I start building the actual projects, I want to put the foundation, prepare you for what we are doing. So one of the things I do is I use GitHub a lot, and I also do this thing called as work diary, or if you want to call it a learning diary. So that's something you will see me doing a lot, even when I am doing the tutorials. So how does this work really? So this is something I want you to try to do as well, because I will be doing it anyway. So the first thing is, what I like to do is, whenever I'm working on a project, what I do is, first step is I go to GitHub. So let's say now I'm beginning this project, right? I'm beginning this tutorial series. I need to put in a lot of stuff. So what I'll do is, I will, a lot of times, like I said, the projects we are building at the end of this tutorial series is this one, comic book shop. Yes. And we'll be building another project called for Blobber, right? And so both Flobblobber and comic book shop, and I'll be adding more features to them. I'll be adding new projects as time goes by and everything. So now what I'll do is, so now I'm beginning this tutorial series, right? So I would like to track the stuff I'm doing for the tutorial series. Yes. So what I will do is, now already for the previous series, I already have put all the stuff here in C# for students. I did the beginner series, based on free code camp, and I put all the code here and so on and so forth. So suppose I need a repository for these tutorial series as well. Now this is called web API.NET basics. So let me go ahead and do that. So what I'll do is, I'll go here. I might as well do it right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a repository called web API. What is the title? Let me just get the title correct. Web API.NET basics, right? So that's what we are doing here. So web API.NET basics. Okay. So I'm just going to say supporting repository for the YouTube tutorial series. Okay. And I'll make this private because I am going to share this with students. I'll put this link in the description. I need a README file. I always tell you, I already told you, I made many videos on GitHub. Already know why we need README. Now we are using Visual Studio.NET, so we are going to use that. A license, I really don't care for it. I'm just going to keep it none. This code is for you. Do whatever you want with it. I really don't mind. As I told you, I've started integrating Azure DevOps to all my projects. Okay, and I plan to make tutorial series about Azure DevOps, the whole thing, Azure boards, Azure repositories, Azure pipelines, Azure test plans, Azure artifacts. I am planning to make videos about all those things. And also, I already know these things, but I'm kind of relearning it in preparation for the upcoming videos. So you'll start seeing that as well. So that's why you can see here there's something called Azure boards. You may not see that on your computer, on your GitHub account, but right now I am using it, so that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and click on create repository. There you go. And I want you to do something similar as well. So when you're following along with me, don't make it public. I want my students to see this, so I am kind of making this public, but in your case, you keep it private. Your learning should be private. You should make the projects you build, your portfolio projects to build should be public. For example, if you look on my account, you'll see that I have a lot of repositories which are public, right? There you go. But I also have a lot of private repositories here, which are for my own internal work. Like for example, the for Blobber project, I have a private repository. Obviously, so I only push whatever I can share with my students. I can't share everything, right? So there you go. So you do a mix of private and public. That's just how it works. So this one is private public because it's for you. And so now this is the one. So what I do is, so you also, when you begin your learning, go ahead, create a repository, like, learning with J private or something, right? And then make it private, do it with Visual Studio Code, a git ignore, add a readme file, and something like this. So then what I do is I go ahead and clone it. Now by now you should already know how to do all these things because I already made enough videos of it. So I'll go back to my computer. I'm going to go to my D drive, and here I'm going to say, let me create YouTube tutorials repos, right? I'll go inside, and here I'm going to clone this. So I'm going to open the terminal, git clone, and then there you go. So I would like you to do this as well, one repository for learning with me. And now I want to go inside. As usual, I will use VS Code. Okay, now assuming you're following along, I hope you are following along with this tutorial. So what I want to do is, once you have it, go to the left side and create a file called work diary, right? So I'm going to call this web API tutorial. I will call this tutorial videos diary, tutorial videos work diary, or you can call it learning diary. That's more like, that's what you're trying to do. So there you go. Just give it a title, the same thing, web API tutorial videos learning diary. Now you see that I'm using a hash because that gives like a big title. And then diary for the code, I will be pushing to my I'll be pushing for the students and supporting the videos that are being uploaded. Okay, so today, the day is, September 24th. Today I'm just, so this is what I'm saying. The diary is essentially a tracker of whatever it is that I am doing, whatever it is that I'm learning. Okay, you can put whatever you want. Okay, so make sure you use the title, you use a single hash. Okay, so I'm going to just put it on the video here. So, okay, so single hash for the title and a double hash for the date. That's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to say setting up the repo for the students, just showing them how to use learning diary. Okay, now here I also want, I have my readme file. Okay, now I want to just make this a little bit cleaner. Now why do we use readme file? I'll show you, like, for example, right click and then preview. See how nice it looks. I like that. I like that. It looks nice, right? You go to diary and now it's like, see, it looks nice. So as you do more things, okay, and you add more dates, more links, and there is a lot of markdown formatting that I'll be doing, you'll see as well. It starts to grow, your diary starts to grow. And I mentioned this before, I have, work diaries going back to 2012. All the work I have done, all the learning I have done with my clients, with everything. And the thing is, when in software development, although the software industry is constantly changing, so many things remain the same. So when you're working either as a developer, the more you document what you're doing and the more projects you tackle, the more experience you gain. You can check back with your diary, and then you'll see so much of stuff that you did in the past is getting repeated. And that means as you are working for clients, as you're working for projects, when you start tackling problems, you'll realize a lot of problems are something that you already solved in the past. Maybe it's not 100% identical, but 90% identical. The problem is 90% solved in the past. So today what happens, you only need to tackle the 10% that is new. Now, what does that mean? So let's say you are a person who documents everything, and then you are facing a challenge in your software development, and then you remember that you solved this same problem, say 2 years ago, right? So what happens? You have the diary, you go back to it, right? And and then you check it. And now let's say it takes 2 days to solve that problem. 90% of it, you already solved it 2 years ago. And you're not just depending on your memory. See, that's the thing though. We can't remember everything. There is this story, like if you read Sherlock Holmes, if you don't read, then you should. I have read Sherlock Holmes thousands of times, not just one time or twice, thousands of times. And he says that your brain is like a box. Okay, so let me just get a drawing here. So your brain, Sherlock Holmes says that your brain is like a box. Some people have a bigger box, some people have a smaller box. So ultimately, it's a box with finite capacity. So you have to remember to keep the more important things in your head. But if you start garbling your brain with all kind of things which you don't need, the important stuff, the one in red color, the thing that really matters, gets lost. Okay, so I personally, I feel like my brain is really small. I don't have memory capacity. I've done some cool things in my life, but every time I write an exam, I score very less. I score, in India, in exams, usually it is like 100 marks. So I score 35 marks or 40 marks. But then you give me like a aptitude test or the practical test. I always score either full marks or 90% or something. So the exams, I can barely score 35, 40. Lab, I score either out of out, or I'm usually the top or the top fifth guy, top percentage guy. So I feel like my memory capacity is really low. I always forget things. So what I do is I make sure that whatever I can't remember, I can't remember everything. So I make sure I maintain a work diary, so that now my brain is limited. I can't change that, but I could discipline myself by documenting everything I do. So this is a little bit philosophical, but that's the thing, isn't it? Software development isn't all just numbers and zeros and ones, no matter how you think about it. It is a very draining, sometimes emotional experience. At least for me, that is how it is. One of the reasons why I chose to be a developer is because even today, after 20 to 25 years of coding, whenever I do something, just before I recorded this video, I finished learning how to use self-hosted agents in Azure pipeline. And like I said, I'm learning a lot of Azure DevOps, mainly to make these tutorial videos and to teach my students better. I had some exposure for it, but I'm trying to go deeper. And then it took me a while. It took me about 2 to 3 hours. And then there was an error, and the agent was not running. I don't know why. It will not run the pipeline, and there was some lot of errors. And then eventually, after some thinking, I went online. There were not much information, and I eventually figured out the solution. And then finally, the agent was running. I will show you. Why should I just talk to you? Let me just show you right now. Let me just log into my Azure. What do you say? The dashboard. Okay, hold on. It's just loading on my second monitor. So I'll show you just a few minutes ago, and then you're like. Yeah, there you go. So this is the project I was working on this morning. Okay, so go here, right? And you can see here, you can see the pipelines, right? Build succeeded. So if I go to pipelines here, okay, I have my repos. Okay, I have my repos. I have my pipelines. It's all very simplistic, but and then I go here, you'll see that it failed. Look at that. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had no idea what was going wrong, because I was following along with this online document and I was doing every step. I'm very good at following steps when I'm doing some coding thing, but something went wrong, and they did not mention the steps why this could be going wrong. And eventually I found out on my own it was missing. And then there you go. The build was succeeded. You can see it right here. It says the build was, there are some warnings. This has nothing to do with the build. And it ran really fine. Look at that now. So if I go to jobs, you can see here the build was really successful. You can see the whole thing on the left side. So, and when it finally got this green check mark, and it said 100% passed, and the whole thing was ready, it is a feeling of joy. And that feeling of joy is the reason why I chose to be in the IT industry. In life, So many times you don't get choices, but sometimes you do. And I'm glad I was able to get the choice to choose to be in this industry. A lot of times I've been pressurized, or not by any malevolence or villainous behavior by outsiders, something by my own circumstances, just the progress of life, the unfolding of daily events, and where I would have had to go outside the industry and try something else, and I did do that, for monetary reasons or some other reasons, but eventually I keep coming back to the software industry, because after all these years, for me, this seems to give me a sense of like a joy. And that is really important, because if you can find joy in your work, okay, happiness. But I think I'm ranting too much. What I'm trying to say is the brain is really limited, finite, and you can't remember everything. So please, go ahead and use GitHub and work diary. Document what you're doing. Okay, I'm not saying you sit down and write a diary. I mean, of course I do that, but my personal life, and every day of my life has been documented for so many years now. Sometimes I just go back in time to see what I was doing in a specific day. No, I'm not asking you to go to such extremes where you document every aspect of your life. No, I'm done talking about your learning. So when you're learning with me, I will be using your work diary as well, and I want you to use it. And I promise you, it will be an investment that is worth its weight in gold, not only for money making, but also in terms of experience and confidence. Like whenever I work on a new project and identify a problem that has already been solved, and I'm always like, okay, I know I can do this because I have done it in the past. And that means I can do it again. And it's not just the confidence that I've done it in the past. I have done it in the past and I have documented. It's amazing how much simpler things can become when you document something, because it's something you see for yourself. When you document something, it leads to less arguments. It makes things a little bit more concrete. It makes things a little bit more zeros and ones. You're not depending like, for example, in a project, a lot of times teammates will oppose your decisions. A lot of times your manager might not like what you're doing. But when you have a diary where everything is documented with proof and numbers and characters and codes, then you show it to people who are not agreeing with your plan. Right now, when you argue, for your case, and then you back it up with evidence, it makes resolution so much easier and simpler. It makes things less vague, and sometimes it makes things absolute. And for me, it really helps. So there you go. So that is why I always request you maintain yourself a work diary. I'll be doing that as well, so you can see my diary for these videos online on my repository as and when I do things. So that is something that I wanted to show. Now, once you're done, as always, so go ahead and, as usual, git commands. By now you should know these things. I've been doing this for many videos now, so I'm not going to explain git anymore, at least not the old stuff. Created video public repo, showed how to use. Oh, hold on, one thing I forgot. I need to add my signature to my readme. Let's go ahead and get that here from, yeah, that was the pipeline thing, man. It is so amazing. I am liking it. Okay, let's go for Blobber. There we go. Readme code. Copy my signature. Come back. Okay, do the same thing for the diary. Okay. Actually, for the diary, I want to keep this in the top. Okay, there we go. And there you go. All right then. So come back, git status, git add dot, git status again, git commit. Then I'm going to say created repo, showed how to use learning diary. It's always a good habit to write good commit messages, even if they're short and sweet. I mean, I've seen some people who don't want to write lengthy commit messages and even not maintain diary. They're just totally fine, because when you start doing these things, it does slow you down. A significant amount of time is being spent doing all this. So if you want to be super fast, then it's okay. It's optional. but I will be doing it, you know. So when I do this, you should not be surprised. What am I doing, right? So there you go, folks. That is about the Git repo, which is used to track what I'm doing, what you're doing, and stuff like that. And this is useful for me. I'll be using this because as the videos progress, I have a certain way of developing projects, which means I will be developing a lot of code. Okay, now some of the code is already online, like the Fablower project, it's already online. The comic book shop project, it's already online. But I will also be creating additional code as and when I record these videos. So obviously I need a place to put there. So my plan is to put all of them in a single place so that it also grows over time. And I think using the diary will make it easy for you to track what happened and stuff like that. Like for example, when I do something, like one of the first things I'll be showing is how to create a very simple web API. So that'll be a project I create, and I'm going to mention that in the diary. I'm going to put some nested links, and I'll also put the code in this repository. So one repository for all videos in this series. So when I start a new series, then there'll be a new repository with a new diary. I think that organization might work. I don't know. I'm trying this for the new time. Like till now, my YouTube channel was mainly about randomly putting some videos. But this year, this is the first time I'm really sitting down. I am planning it out. I have a grand plan I need some water. I have a grand plan to upload as many videos as I can. Now, I don't know if I'll actually execute this plan because this is the first time I'm trying this. I mean, I've had the YouTube channel for almost 2-3 years now, but I haven't made such a grand plan till now. I mean, I did have grand plans, but this is the first time I'm actually taking concrete steps. So I don't know if this system will work. I'm trying new things. Okay, so I think this will work because this has worked for me for my freelancing work for the last 12 years. So I know this is a battle-tested system, which is already helping me in my professional life and private life. But this is the first time I'm using this for something that is public focused. You know, like this is where you'd see me doing the code, and this diary is now public and stuff like that. So this is new, but the system itself is not new. It's like you know how to dance inside your house when nobody's watching, but now you are dancing in front of an audience. You're still dancing, but before it was just nobody. You're just dancing for yourself. But now you have an audience, because in private, if you make a mistake, it remains your mistake. But when you do it in front of an audience, you make a mistake. It's not just you who saw the mistake. It's other people who see the mistake, and then it might affect you in a specific way. But then again, you know, I gotta try this out. I have made up my mind to do this. So let's see. Right. So there you go, folks. So that is about the GitHub and work diary. I mean, I will be using it, and I agree this does slow things down a little bit in terms of the speed at which you code. But I always feel that, you know, when you're learning something, you shouldn't be in a rush. I mean, there are some things in life which you do rush, you know. Sure, you know, and sometimes it works out well. Sometimes when you rush, you realize later it's a mistake, and there's nothing you can do. There is no undo button in real life. But you know, this is one of the situations where you do have an option to slow down. So when you're learning, if you have a choice, slow down. Yes, definitely. So there you go, folks. So that is all there is to it. I know this video was a little bit of like a gyan kind of thing where I'm talking a little bit of philosophy. I tend to do that. I have a specific way of developing code. I have my own way. Everybody has their own way. So I have this way. So sometimes I do ramble on with some philosophical way about coding, which almost seems like I'm preaching about life itself. But then again, that is how intertwined my developer life is. And I can't detach my emotions from my developer work. Otherwise, because like I said, I enjoy coding. I really, truly find joy in it. So it's gonna happen a lot. So at which point, if you're still watching this, and this is video number 8, yes, so if you're still watching this, obviously you're either hooked on to my style or you already dropped off many videos ago. So I think I'm gonna just take it in this way. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you again.